Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 152, recording on Sunday, May 28th, 2023. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And it kind of snuck up on me. We've basically entered what used to be E3 season, beginning of June, and Sony was first this year, now that there's no E3. And they had their 2023 showcase, not a state of play. So reverting back to an E3 type presentation with a lot of games and trailers. And we will be giving you all of our thoughts and grades for sure. We're going to grade this thing from Sony and talk about what we thought was the most exciting, what we thought was absolute trash. We'll cover it all. How you guys doing?
Doing great. There is a fly in my room, but I think I got it.
Didn't get it. Oh, he did get it.
I think I did. I don't see a dead fly on the ground, but I don't hear it anymore. So I think I got it.
I knew this was going to be a problem. I said we need to address the fly in the room of the show, and here we are. We'll see how it goes. It better be dead. It better be dead. Huck, any flies over there?
No, I'm fly free. Luckily, there was a big one in my one bathroom that was scaring my kids. It was so big, but that was a couple days ago and haven't seen it in a while. So we're in the clear over here.
It's a big fly. Very big fly.
I did, however, kill a gigantic rat in my backyard last night. So that was exciting.
Oh, damn.
And I thought, yeah, got it done. I fill back in the holes that are under my deck. I go out there this afternoon. 3 holes are back. So guess what? There's more rats under my deck. Great.
Right.
Yes. So, and I'm talking monster rats. Like I'm talking, I buy the big giant rat traps. They're almost not enough. These things are almost the size of cats. They're so big.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound fun.
I don't even live that close to like a creek or anything. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what these things are eating. I tell you what, they're starting to eat my peanut butter, and it's starting to be a huge mistake for them. So watch out, rats. Coming for you.
All right, before we get to the showcase, just a reminder, this Tuesday, May 30th, our friends at Creative Byte Studios are releasing Return to Grace on Steam. So it's available for wishlist. Check it out. If it's kind of an AI first-person adventure game with some interesting ideas. So we'll be talking about it in
Dealing with the theme of AI, not AI-generated game.
Correct. Yeah, of course, dude. Of course.
Clarifying. You never know these days.
Looking forward to picking that up on Tuesday. And all right, let's get into the PlayStation Showcase for 2023. We'll start with some general thoughts. Sean, let's get your mind off of the fly. What did you think?
Well, you know what? Like I was kind of following along on the Discord. There were some people watching it live. I watched it a little bit, like an hour or two later. I feel like people were not kind of underwhelmed. I actually thought it was one of the better showcases I've seen in quite a while. Now, it's possible that some of these games, like I know there were some games that they showed that had been previously announced. I think a lot of them were more like there had been announcement teasers that didn't really show much. So now we're actually seeing gameplay. It just felt like a lot of new, fresh stuff to me, at least more than I've been used to. Granted, I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of the E3 thing, like you were saying. So putting it in that context, maybe it brings it down a little bit. But
I was going to say the same thing. Compared to like the small showcases we've seen from Xbox, whoever, over the last, basically since COVID, they've all been underwhelming. So if I'm comparing it to that, I was pleasantly surprised based on what I've heard, although I still think there's lots of flaws. But I agree. If I'm doing it to what E3 used to be, a little disappointing if that's what it's supposed to be. But who knows what it is? Huck, what did you think?
Yeah, I also was I wasn't taking it that seriously actually when I was watching it. I was just kind of like, okay, like the showcase thing. And then whatever the YouTube link I clicked on was like 3 hours long. I was like, oh my God, what is this thing? But I think it was from GameSpot. So there was a whole bunch of pre and a whole bunch of post, but still the show was still quite a bit longer than I was anticipating. I was thinking it'd be like a 40-minute kind of like quick romp through everything. And I think it was like closer to an hour and a half, right? I don't know how exactly how long it went, but
1 hour and 15 minutes, I think.
Okay. But I thought it was pretty good. There was like some interesting things, some stuff that I was kind of like just throwaway CG trailer trash type stuff. And then obviously the big game at the end, which was nice to see gameplay of. But I liked it, but at the same time, I wasn't enthralled watching it. I don't know if it was just because I was rushing to get through it a bit and knew we were going to talk about it, or what. But yeah, I wasn't totally enthralled with it this time. I don't know why exactly, but that's my initial take.
Well, I think you kind of hit on something there for me anyway. Didn't feel very Sony-like to me. It kind of felt like a Ubi showcase, like a lot of CG trailers, non-gameplay trailers. We've always discussed with the Sony showcases is they highlight gameplay, and you watch one of their games, it's like, oh, I can imagine myself playing this game. I could not do that for a lot of this. First of all, there was no gameplay in a lot of the trailers. It was just CG, which is rare. That's like what Sony does best. Show you games that you're going to play and you can imagine playing. This was a lot of announcements. And to be honest, the announcements were not all that exciting to me. There were pleasant surprises, as we mentioned, but, kind of mid-level stuff. Not to skip to the end, but even Spider-Man 2, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, was just kind of more of the same to me. I have some specific thoughts when we get there, but it wasn't like oh, wow, I know the game's going to be good. It's Insomniac. They make great games, but didn't blow me away or anything.
I want to know why they think it's a good idea to sort of cram all of their VR stuff kind of near the end, like right when people are wanting to see the big stuff, and then you see all this VR trash. Well, I guess not trash to everybody, but trash to me. But why not sprinkle it like in with everything else? I don't know if they think it'll be confusing. Then they do this like VR push, and then they kind of drop some of their bigger titles, I find, at the end. That seems to be like the Sony standard layout for their conferences now, where they have this big VR section kind of near the end. And I don't really like it, to be honest.
Because it would probably make more sense to do a separate VR showcase, but they're trying to sell PSVR 2s. So it's, I don't know. I thought the layout of the entire thing was kind of odd. Other than, I figure Spider-Man has to go beginning or end. I think end is probably the better decision. But other than that, really somewhat random as far as I'm concerned in terms of how things are presented, and not like a nice track listing on an album or anything like that. So let's start with the first game showed from Haven Studios. I actually know some people that are working there, and hadn't announced their game yet. It's called Fair Game, I think. I was a little unsure. I thought it might be Fair Games, and the $sign was an S, but I believe it's Fair Game. And I don't know. This also kind of felt like a Ubisoft game to me, and it's like
that's what I wrote down. Also,
did you? Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I said reminds me of a Ubisoft trailer.
Yeah, and there's not. I think a lot of the people who started that studio are former Ubisoft people, so I'm not entirely surprised. But again, I was expecting to see some gameplay. I didn't know watching it. I looked at it after, and it said PvP heist game. So I kind of thought, well, Payday, but a super polished version of Payday, which I think could be good. I find when I've played Payday, it never really hooked me, and it's a little like loose control wise, and it could be improved upon by a AAA studio. So I hope that's what the game is. Other than that, I don't know. There wasn't much for me to take out of this.
Yeah, it seemed like a bit of a weak one to open with for sure. But yeah, I got a Watch Dogs vibe from it. Payday as well. There is a Payday 3 in the works, I think. It's been for a while. So I feel like, there could be a solid, polished Payday game coming too. But But yeah, I mean, it definitely has that vaguely political vibe without really saying anything.
Yeah, I guess when I say the whole show felt like a Yubi show to me, that's not to say that, Yubi showcases are necessarily bad. It's just like trying to appeal to young people a lot and trying to sound like make stuff seem really cool without much substance is what I would kind of associate with those types of shows, where Sony is like about the games, the quality of the games. And this was kind of in between one of those shows to me. It was a lot of fluff as far as I'm concerned, except for mostly stuff that I'd seen before. All right, next was Helldivers 2, a clearly Starship Troopers inspired trailer with some gameplay. And I guess another trend of this seems to be like co-op horde mode games, which I don't know. I feel like someone's got to elevate it above what they are at this point. I know stuff like Deep Rock Galactic and some of those games are really popular, but I don't know. It's not really moving my needle when I see this stuff. And I think the notable thing with this was the original Helldivers was an isometric top-down kind of co-op shooter, and this one is third person. It seems like, which I don't know. This also didn't do much for me, and the CG the actor that was, I think, motion captured, something felt off with that. I don't know. It was freaking me out.
Yeah, it didn't do much for me either. I'm not familiar with the original game. I mean, I've heard of it, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird because we just played that Starship Troopers game like a couple days ago, and this popped up. But
so that being said, Starship Troopers is a great franchise, but that game it's still early access, so it didn't play that great. So I don't know if you could make that play great. It could have been a great game. So I see potential in this game for sure, but definitely wasn't wowing me.
Yeah, the only thing I could think about was that Starship Troopers Extinction, I think it's called, right? Game that you guys tried out, and
I think
Extraction. And just like how I wonder if they got a sales bump from this, and I wonder if Helldivers 2 is pissed that game is in early access right now, possibly taking away some of their sales potentially.
I will note Helldivers 1 is also published by PlayStation and is available on Steam. It's one of Sony. I think it might have been the first Sony game to show up on Steam. Don't quote me on that. I will also say I'm going to speed through a lot of this stuff because there's so much content to cover. If you guys want me to slow down or you have more to say, let me know. Otherwise, we're pushing through this. Next, a game that I have been seeing in a lot of places, just the cover, because I've been playing Jedi Survivor, and in the EA app, it's always at the front. And I'm like, I have no idea what this game is. Immortals of Avium. And maybe there's been gameplay trailers before. I don't remember seeing them. This was a pleasant surprise to me. It kind of felt like first person Forspoken, using like spells as guns almost, and a bit like Squire Tokyo. I don't know. I thought this game was not on my radar at all. I think it comes out in July of like this summer, and I have to say, I'm like, it's something I might buy at this point if the reviews are okay.
Yeah, this one looked okay. I mean, it was definitely, I find a lot of these showcases, there's always like a handful of games that just kind of feel like generic sci-fi, generic fantasy. But like this one with the first person with the spell casting, there seemed like there was something unique there. But
this feels like a game that's going to be reviewed at like in between a 6 and a 7, but it's actually an 8, and I can't wait for it.
Sure.
This game reminded me of an old Doom clone game called Hexen or Heretic. There might have been both of them, but now in like modern-y times. And I thought it looked pretty good, but at the same time, I got really bored with the trailer because it went on for a long time, I felt. And I ended up just like skipping a whole bunch near the end. So I think if they just shortened it down a bit, it probably would have made a bigger impact. But Yeah, they obviously had that one big name actress. I can't remember her name, but she's in a bunch of stuff um, that was featured in it.
Hmm.
Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No.
She's like, I can't think of what else she'd be in, but you would recognize her. Um,
Okay.
anyways, whatever. Moving on. Not a big selling point, but obviously EA put out some money to get some bigger name actors in there. Actors,
I will say
actresses.
EA is kind of quietly having a decent year. Like people love the Dead Space remake. I need to play it. I love Jedi Survivor. It is my game of the year so far. And
Well, what just came out? Something just came out that got really bad reviews, right? Gollum, isn't that an EA game?
No, that's Warner Brothers, I think.
Oh yeah, maybe you're right.
Why does everyone pile on? You're even giving bad games to them just for the hell of it.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was EA. That is kind of weird.
And that was it. Wild Hearts wasn't great, but it's kind of interesting. And this Immortals game looks good. I like that. It reminds me of the time when EA was trying to make new, IPs. The Dante's Inferno. There's a bunch of games that didn't land, but at least they were trying to generate some new IP stuff. And I don't know. It kind of feels like a good year for EA so far, aside from PC port stuff.
So
Good
the
for them.
actress I was thinking of, her name is Gina Torres, and she was in some of the Matrix movies and also Suits, the show Suits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never seen Serenity or Suits, so not that familiar with her. All right. Next, Ghost Runner 2. I have not played Ghost Runner 1. I kind of want to. I bought it multiple times and have not played it.
Yeah.
So not a lot. It looks okay. You guys have anything for this one?
No, it looks cool, but so did the first one, and I never played it. So I mean, it's just in that.
They're adding a motorcycle, which reminded me of the Runner game we played in VR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Looks okay. Not bad by any means. Next, but I think most people are considering the surprise of the show, or the most pleasant surprise of the show, is Phantom Blade Zero. And this is fitting right in with Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima, Wolong, a lot of these third-person combat games with Asian influence. And I thought this looked really good. There's a bit of I got a Metal Gear Rising Revengeance vibe as well with some of the combat. And the standout sequence to me was the horse cart sequence. I thought looked really cool. But yeah, I'm in. I'm starting to get a little bit of burnout, yet I will still play this game for sure.
It looked really like frantic combat to me, and it's really hard because there's like no HUD or anything. It's really hard to tell what was actually happening and how much you're controlling in this, and if this is actually gameplay or not. But it did look exciting visually watching it. I just don't know how much of it is actually game and what is not, and it was really hard to tell.
I totally agree. Especially one of the first combat sequences, it's like a bunch of rapid fire blocks, like ching, 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 ching. And I'm like, how is this even working from a gameplay perspective? I'm like, I can't imagine that happening. So I had a similar thought, but the rest of the trailer, I was like, okay, I kind of see the actual, like where the animation starts and where the input happened.
Yeah. Even that horse racing part you're talking about, or the horse car part, he's like constantly dodging quickly back and forth. And I'm like, this almost looks like you're just holding block and then it's just like animating for you. Like there's not much actual gameplay there. It's just like, okay, you're blocking or you're not blocking. You're not actually like, controlling it that precisely.
Even the part that was kind of, I guess, Kill Bill inspired, where the character hides behind a pillar and then the mace ball or whatever hits and shatters the pillar. I'm like, I don't know. I even that I was like, I don't know how that plays necessarily. It looked cool, but almost seemed like a quick time kind of thing.
Yeah, and also it just said coming to PS5, so this could be like a very early game, depending on what they mean by that.
Yeah,
Yep.
I did like a little bit of reading on it. Like, I guess this is like a series of games that were built in RPG Maker, like for a long time. And then this is the first one where they're actually using Unreal. So, yeah, not familiar with the series at all. I don't know how obscure the series is, but
The research I did said it was the studio's first like Western release game or something like that.
yeah, it's possible that those games were never released here. That's true.
But can you make like third person action games in RPG Maker?
No, that's why like I think they have like lore and stuff and like a
Okay.
world they've built, but now it's kind of a new format.
Okay. Next was Sword of the Sea from Giant Squid and the creator of Journey, Abzu, and Pathless, which this game felt like all three of those games mashed up into one with a little sprinkle of Tony Hawk on top.
Totally.
I guess it looks okay. I feel like all three of those games are slightly overrated, in my opinion. In particular, Journey seems to get love on greatest games of all time and didn't even really hook me the first time I played it. So they're visually very well done. And I like them, the idea of them, but I don't find them to be that much fun to play. So this, and I don't love skateboarding games. Sean, you love Tony Hawk games. Are you in on this? This could be the perfect game for you.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the new titles that I was kind of excited about, but I do agree with you, like in terms of the previous games, like the Pathless played a bit of it. I kind of wanted to go back to it, but never really did. Journey, I never
While we're on
finished.
Pathless, I found the actual like main locomotion mechanic in Pathless unintuitive. Like I couldn't get the timing down. It was halting like my ability to traverse the level. Do you know what it was like a timing thing where you shot the arrows, I think. And like I can't get this down. Like it's not teaching me how to do this properly.
Yeah, I mean, I it never really clicked for me either, but I probably didn't give it quite enough time. And I've never played Abzu, but I mean, it looks interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious. This could be not amazing, but
It
I'm kind
looks
of
good
into it.
though. Like a lot of the games look really good. No game
Yes.
looked like visually unimpressive to me. They all had merit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like a lot of the AAA showcases, like I said, like it starts to feel like generic sci-fi fantasy stuff after a while, but this one had a lot of different art styles and things breaking it up, and that was good.
Next, also going to go to Sean on this one. Talos Principle 2. I've never played the Talos Principle. I think it's a game you loved. So what did you think, Stuart?
Yeah, I didn't know that this was in the works, so this was a very pleasant surprise. I don't like trailer was kind of hard to tell exactly. Like I assume it's just, more kind of Portal-esque puzzle stuff, but yeah, I'm very excited. I think it comes out this year, so that's yeah, I'm into that for sure.
I also have liked what I've played of the Talos Principle, but this trailer literally showed just a bunch of environments basically that looked nice and nothing, no puzzles at all. Like you wouldn't, if you didn't know what Talos Principle 1 was, you would have no idea what this game is. So I think from a trailer perspective,
glamour shots, like
yeah.
putting cameras in rooms and having them pan stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of like trailer success, I would say big fail. But in terms of title announcement, it's great. I'm interested in playing it. But really, I think the trailer didn't
as well. Right? It was 2023, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So a little disappointing.
Had it ever been announced before? I don't think so, right?
No, I wasn't aware of it. I mean, it's maybe like I know they had like DLC for the last one. I think there was a VR version. So it's like they kept working on it, but I didn't know about a sequel.
Next was Neva from the creators of Gris, and just kind of a cinematic trailer. I have basically nothing to say about this.
Same.
Cool art style, but yeah, hard to tell what the game is.
I think it's Gris as well.
Gris, pardon me. Thank you. Next, Cat Quest, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah. game of the show right here.
I
My kids love the Cat Quest games.
Oh, I didn't
Absolutely
know
love
this
them.
is a series.
This is the third one.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I've played
huge.
a bit of
Huge.
the first two, and I have enjoyed them. So
Do they all have this art style where like you're in between it's like an overworld map that you move on?
Yeah, they're great. And they're like action RPG games.
But yeah, I did not know these were games. I will be checking out the other Cat Quest games.
They're really good.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
I
they're
love
really
the
cool.
art style.
Yeah,
yeah,
I know.
Very accessible co-op action RPG. Although I think the first one wasn't co-op. I think only the second one was. But
that's right. Yeah, yeah. So I sent the trailer to my son because he's a big Cat Quest fan. So he'll have to let me know what he thinks, get his review of it. But I don't know. I thought it looked pretty cool, pretty fun, and yeah, definitely a day one purchase in this household.
I'm embarrassed that I've never heard of this franchise before. It is pretty cool.
I just found it probably within the last year because I was looking for co-op like action games for kids kind of thing, and this came up as an option. So I picked it up for the kids. And my son is really into cats, so it was like a perfect marriage.
Yeah, I don't know if you can handle the cat humor, Frank. It might not be your thing.
Yeah, eventually, you just have to succumb to it. You can't avoid it.
This game's not trying to hide it though. Like it's obvious. You know, it's in your face right from the title. So
yeah,
I'm in. It looks really good. Next, Foam Stars from Square Enix, which is surprised it's taken this long to get a Splatoon ripoff for non-Nintendo consoles. That being said, I was definitely not foaming when. Well, I guess yeah, it was like absolutely no reaction to this for me. It looks okay, but I would much rather play Splatoon. Like the creativity and like just the world of Splatoon is so much more interesting to me. This, if it's free or good, like it gets good reviews, I'll probably check it out. But that's the only way I think.
Yeah, definitely tough to compete with Splatoon, but also it just kind of reminds me of like there was a couple of games last year, like there was that dodgeball game, or maybe there's a couple dodgeball games. I mean, like, and I think they're all dead already, aren't they? Like they kind of just came out, never really got an audience.
UB one, EA, I think no, they were Knockout City, EA.
Or maybe Rumbleverse. I think of that. Yeah, it's just like a tough, like you can make a free to play game, but it doesn't guarantee people are going to come play it. So
it terrifies me, like the idea of how much money are going into these like online multiplayer games that are dead in the water. Like who is greenlighting this stuff?
Even the cost of that CG trailer for this Foam Stars, like that cost of that CG trailer was probably as much as like an indie game costs to make. Yeah.
And there's so many good indie games that if you just took that money into polish and marketing, they'd sell way more copies. I don't get it. Okay, next. I'm not going to say much. We've talked about it before. Plucky Squire, updated trailer for that. Still looks amazing. Can't wait. One of my most anticipated games right now. But it does come out this year.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I think it does.
Next, Teardown. I feel like Huck might have something to say about this. Are you aware of, didn't the developer of this engine do vlogs and videos and stuff like that?
I don't know where I've seen this before. I know my sons watch videos on it. I don't know if it had like a Steam demo or something, but
it is out on Steam already. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So I've seen stuff for this game. It is not anything for me, but I think the tech and everything's pretty neat. And it's got a really good lighting system in the game. So even though it's all like voxels and, Minecrafty, like the destructible buildings, the smoke, the effects, the lighting are all really quite good. So it definitely has a great art style going for it. And, kids just like to blow shit up. So I'm sure it'll do well.
Last I had remember hearing about this game, it was just like showcasing the engine that the developer had created. And that was quite some time ago. So for me, it did seem like the heist idea and the bombs and like blowing up walls to escape. It's kind of a good application of what I had heard about this destructible engine. So it looks okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I picked it up on a Steam sale at some point because it did have really good reviews. Haven't played it yet, but now seeing that trailer, I'm kind of like, oh, I should probably fire it up.
Yeah. Next, probably as far as the Discord was concerned, the game of the show, the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So it's not Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which I did not find the CG trailer all that interesting. Like, I would rather see gameplay. Even the screenshots I saw online were more intriguing to me than this trailer. And just some of the early areas that I remember from that game, seeing how they look now, that they looked pretty good. So I'm definitely excited for it. I've never been the biggest Metal Gear Solid 3 fan. I actually think it might be my least favorite Metal Gear game. I think the camouflage mechanics were clunky, and changing to active camouflage in part 4 was an improvement in every possible way. And that the like knowing what enemy is looking at you was really hard to do. They slightly improved it with first person modes in Substance and other releases of Metal Gear, but I will take vision cones all day, every day over what's in Metal Gear Solid 3. So I hope they're improving those systems. If they take that game and make it more playable by modern standards, it could be absolutely incredible. So I just don't know what type of remake it is yet based on what I've heard.
Yeah, that was going to be my question because I feel like this had been rumored. A lot of people were expecting this to be announced, and a lot of people were excited. And I've played very little of Metal Gear 3, and basically any Metal Gear beyond 1, I'm like have played very little of. So on the one hand, I'm like, maybe I should check this out. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't even understand. Is this like a quote unquote ground up remake, or like, is this because they also mentioned a package of all, like, I guess the first 3 Metal Gear games together. So it seemed like to imply that it was not, it was more of a remaster, I guess, right?
See, I thought I got the opposite. I think this one is a kind of a ground up remake.
Okay, it is.
Delta, I think. I don't know for sure. And then the other one is a collection of the originals, which they've released some versions of those before on other platforms, but bringing them to PlayStation 5 this year, I believe. I'm always excited to replay Metal Gear Solid 1. So looking forward to that. This could be incredible. Just was not even really a surprise. It had been rumored for a long time. So the only thing was a pleasant surprise. I forgot how good the Snake Eater song was, like the James Bond style song.
Oh yeah, that is pretty cool.
It's good to hear that again.
But I mean, the other thing.
Go ahead, Sean.
Just the other thing is Kojima's obviously not involved, right? So what does that mean? I'm not sure.
Hot take. Could be good. Could be a good thing.
Well, it might the end cinematic might be under 2 hours long, which is always a plus.
And stuff is like really fussy about like not changing. This team might have a little more flexibility to making it more portable. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. I love the Delta symbol and that they decide to go with that. Not only is like the symbol for Delta a triangle, which, try 3, it's like a perfect reimagining of the game with still hinting that it was the 3rd game in the series. I thought it was very subtle and a pretty cool way to rename it, but still have the lineage there.
The only problem is Delta is the 4th letter of the Greek alphabet. So if it was the 3rd letter, I would agree. It's absolutely.
But the symbol is a triangle, 3
That's cool.
sides.
I'm with you. I like the idea of Delta like being a difference or something like that. It's a good name. Don't get me wrong, but it could have been perfect if the stars would have aligned.
Mhm.
So just real quick, I checked again on that package or the bundle or whatever they're calling it, and that comes with the HD collection version of MGS3.
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where some of the confusion, at least for me, was. But from what I'm reading, a lot of people, this wasn't announced, but people are assuming this is using the Phantom Pain engine for Snake Eater, sort of like Twin Snakes was using MGS2 for MGS1. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what a lot of people seem to think.
It could be a completely different engine. I wouldn't be surprised. So, okay, next. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Towers of Aghasba? Aghasba? Not really sure what the
Pretty
correct.
close. I'm sure you're close.
I have to say, this was the most confusing trailer out of anything I saw. And it's not that it necessarily was bad, but I was seeing like all these fantasy creatures, this kind of gathering of economies. I'm like, okay, this is a new world, intriguing. And then there's some quote in the trailer about like rebuilding something, and then it cut to basically base building and taking some building and rotating it. Like, oh, I'm out. This is a base building game. Not interested or whatever. Then the rest of the trailer was like third person action, exploration kind of stuff. I'm like, well, maybe this isn't the game I thought it was. So I really don't know what this game is based on what I saw.
It kind of looks to me like Subnautica, but instead of in water, you're more doing air gliding. Like those like monsters that were kind of flying in the air that you glided to and then collected resources off of. That reminded me exactly of some of the similar creatures in Subnautica that you have to swim to and then pick up stuff off their backs. It's
on Steam. There's a page for it on Steam, and it's saying it's a balance between construction and nurturing exotic ecosystems of otherworldly plant life. So it's weird because that makes it sound like it is more of a base building construction management simulator, but they certainly did not focus on that stuff in the trailer. They literally showed placing one building and then they cut away from that stuff completely. So
they did have a little bit where he was like he planted something and then it like grew into that big tree. So that could be the ecology part of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it could be a great game. The world generally seemed interesting to me, but I don't think the trailer did a great job of showing me what this game is.
I also felt like the creatures looked incredible and the main character looked really weird.
I agree.
Which was a weird juxtaposition, like comparing them. Now, maybe it makes sense because maybe that character is foreign to the world or something, and so that makes sense. But it was noticeable.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, cool visuals. Kind of not sure what it is. It says here open world builder game. So whatever that means.
Just an update on Final Fantasy 16. Don't think we need to linger on that really, except was anyone else's lip syncing off? Like it seemed like the words were not matching what the characters were saying. I didn't know if it was a streaming issue or
I don't remember that happening, but
I thought the opening cinematic was kind of cringe actually, like the dialogue. And then I found out it was Final Fantasy 16. I'm like, yikes.
Well, yeah, I mean to me that's Final Fantasy, but
maybe, yeah. Next up, Alan Wake 2 from Remedy, releasing this October 17th. For the most part, I was pretty underwhelmed with this, except when we got a brief glimpse of some gameplay, the evolution of the flashlight mechanic for more of a third-person camera over the shoulder, closer to a Resident Evil 4 camera, I would say, would be the takeaway from this. This is trying to be a Resident Evil type game more than the previous one. And I thought that part looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trailer didn't blow me away, but I am kind of looking forward to this.
Definitely was like Resident Evil remake-esque feeling. And
I feel like Remedy's strength are gameplay like systems, going back to the slow motion idea in Max Payne. And there was a great core idea of the flashlights, like freezing enemies and then using other weapons to do combat in Alan Wake 2. It just didn't feel like the best version of that system. And I was hoping this trailer would show me like a modern day third person like use of those ideas, and I didn't necessarily see it here, but visually it looked pretty good.
Yeah, I the weird thing for me after watching the next one, which is Assassin's Creed Mirage in the list, is that the two games released like within 5 days of each other seemed like a weird choice to have two games so close together at the exact same spot in the presentation. Like, wouldn't you want to split those up a bit? I mean, Sony probably didn't care, but you'd think these guys would care. Remedy and Ubisoft would not want it to be so obvious that these two games are going to be conflicting for your dollars or fighting for your dollars. I was just surprised that there was very few launch days announced, and these were two of them, and they were side by side, and I found it very strange. So, just a small takeaway.
It is weird, but I think it felt like they had sections to the presentation, and this was the section of like, these games are coming out this year. We're giving you release dates for these, and I think that's why.
Yeah.
So Assassin's Creed Mirage is a throwback Assassin's Creed game, closer to like the Assassin's Creed 2, not huge RPG, open world games, just smaller scale, still open world, but smaller scale. I thought it looked okay, but part of me is open to the idea of just a smaller throwback Assassin's Creed game if it's good. But it did have me thinking, where is that Prince of Persia remake? I'd rather play that.
Yeah, I think they just restarted development on that with a new team.
How does that happen?
Is it
a game that exists already? You're just improving that game.
Yep, it's weird.
Do you guys know much about this Assassin's Creed game? Is it Ezio again?
No,
or is it a new guy?
I think it's.
And do you know where it's taking place? It looks like Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but
okay.
But it looks it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a logical step for them. It says Golden Age of Baghdad.
Okay.
But like to go back to their roots or whatever kind of makes sense. But I really have not put a lot of time into any Assassin's Creed game yet, and I feel like I need to. But I'm a little more interested in like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla than these ones. But I know there are a lot of big fans of the original ones. So
yeah, I find they're faster and more fun and less daunting in terms of scale. So I think I prefer these ones. I prefer the face button combat as well to a Souls-like approach, from what I remember. Next, Revenant Hill, which is by Finji, or I don't know if it's published by Finji, but I think developed. They did Night at the Woods, I'm assuming, because the art style is almost identical, and not a lot to go on this trailer. I have nothing to say.
Same.
Yeah. Looks kind of cool, but I don't think I've even played Night at the Woods. You played that, right, Huck?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. I just have no idea what this trailer means. There's like a lot of weird images from all over the place. So
same with that Gree developer game, right? Like maybe put a little too much clout or like on those developers that they had decent games before. I'm like, this doesn't really tell me much. Like that, just because it's from them, those are not like the level of Hollow Knight indie games to me. They're good, but they're not like staples across like different markets of gamers.
Yeah. Well, this one for sure. Yeah.
Next, another pleasant surprise for me. And I think this is like a Huck might be intrigued by this one. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I thought this was going to be like a Star Ocean game. And then I was kind of like, when I was watching it, I was like, this is definitely Star Ocean. And then my my anticipation went down because the last few Star Oceans have been so bad that I just have such low high expectations. But then, isn't Grand Blue like a fighting series, or is that Blaze Blue or
That's
Blaz
Blaze.
Blue? Oh, okay.
Now, Grand
No,
Blue Fantasy, I think I did a very small amount of research. It is an old 2D RPG, I think.
okay.
And it's like recreating that game in a 3D setting. But it looks like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink was on PS4 as well at some point. So I know nothing about this series or the history, but a lot of Nintendo showcases have JRPGs that I have no context for the story. And I'm like, I'm sure some people love this series or know what it is, and I don't, and I can't get anything out of it. I knew nothing about this game, but the trailer really won me over, and I thought the combat looked really good.
So on the end of the trailer, it does say PS4, PS5. So maybe that's what you're thinking about with the PS4.
Could be, yeah.
Maybe they're just coming to both consoles still, because some people are still putting their games on both.
Yeah, it makes sense. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Next brief update on Street Fighter 6 comes out next Friday. I actually downloaded the demo and played it before we recorded, and it was pretty fun. I might actually pick up Street Fighter 6. I buy every Street Fighter 6 with the intention of getting into fighting games and never do. So why would I break that tradition?
Yeah, not much to say. I'm a little curious, but currently I would say not picking it up.
Next game is a Sean game for sure. Ultros or Ultros,
Oh, yeah.
which like visually very intriguing, like catches your eye. The more I look at it, I'm not sure if it's good or not, but it's a 2024 game. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very colorful, psychedelic visuals, almost kind of feeling a little bit like one of those UB art games to some degree, but I just don't know what the actual game is. It's 2D platformer, side scroller, something like that. But yeah, I'm interested. Do we know
It's on Steam.
is this from is the studio known?
No, they have no other releases on Steam. It's the studio Haddock.
Okay.
And it doesn't say explicitly Metroidvania, or pardon me. Well, it would say Metroidvania. I wouldn't. And it's like adventure, psychedelic action platformer. So I'd say that's a pretty apt description. Animation seemed off to me, but illustrations looked fantastic.
I'm seeing right here psychedelic Metroidvania on Steam. So
I guess yeah, it is. Sorry, but
in the corner there,
they didn't include it in the tags. Okay, I thought it was a Metroid-like, so that is confirmed. But Sean, you said you're sick of Metroid-like, so you're done. You're getting.
I said no such thing.
Yes, you did. Offline, I'm pretty sure you said that to me. Like, I'm kind of getting burnt out on Metroid-likes.
I don't know if I did. Maybe.
Oh,
I mean, I still buy them all.
It's towing the line for Big Metroid. Relax, dude. It's okay. You can be sick of them. Next, another pleasant surprise. Tower of Fantasy. Does anyone know what this is, or
it reminded me of like a mix between like Nier Automata and like Genshin Impact kind of
I
cartoony art style.
I thought it might be another game from that.
It looks like it is
studio
out already.
Maybe really?
No, this is Hota Studio or Hota, and it's already on. It's released in 2021 on iOS and Android. So maybe it is a mobile game that's trying to compete with Genshin Impact, and I'm immediately less interested. I have to admit, it looked good.
Yeah, it looks like it's out for PC already too.
Man, this showcase is getting worse by the minute. Let's pick it up again. Dragon's Dogma 2. Definitely a bit of a cult following for the Dragon's Dogma series. I've never played one. Uh, I think it looks okay. Very similar, almost in between Dark Souls and Skyrim is how I think of this game, especially with the not Skyrim, sorry, just Elder Scrolls in general. The characters with like the cat faces and stuff like that reminded me of Bethesda models. But the only my takeaway was the lighting in some of the underground sections was incredible. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a bunch of people are excited for this that I work with right now, and but they have a big history with like Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2 and stuff, so this would be right up their fantasy alley. Uh for me, I also never played Dragon's Dogma, or I have, but just the very beginning. And so I don't really know what to expect with this game, to be honest. It almost was giving me Witcher 3 vibes a bit also.
Hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what this game actually
Is
is.
the one where they fought like a griffin in the air or something like that?
Yes.
Is that very Witcher like? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm with it. Part of me was like, seems like an opportunity to remake Dragon's Dogma while you're doing this one. And I don't know. I feel like that might have been a better thing to do, but whatever. Looks good. I'm in.
Yeah.
Next up,
Visuals are pretty cool.
Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2. Assume we're moving right along.
Yes, I think so. Well, this is the start of the VR section, right?
Yeah. Now, is that game VR?
I believe so.
I didn't think it was.
It didn't.
Wanted
It wasn't
to.
quite. It wasn't quite in the VR section, so I don't think so.
Well, on their blog, it says it is coming to PSVR 2, but I don't know if it's exclusive to VR.
All right, fair enough. And then we get a bunch of PSVR 2 games, which I'll go very quickly, and then we can talk about them. Resident Evil 4 VR mode in development, which I think we knew. Arizona Sunshine 2, which is a very popular VR game. The first one, it's been on like every VR platform and seems to have sold very well. Even though I personally, I've never played it, so it could be amazing. But I was like, it just feels like the first zombie game with guns that made it to VR. So I don't know if that's not really fair to the game, but that's the impression I've gotten. Crossfire Sierra Squad. I don't really know what that is. Is that a sequel to like something else?
There was that like Crossfire X game.
Okay, maybe. Yeah.
Could
okay,
be related to that.
Synapse, which is kind of a super hot-ish, where you're in someone's mind shooter action game. And PS VR 2 Beat Saber is also available now. So all in all, pretty average or middling showing for VR at this for me. Sean, you're the visor guy. What are you saying?
I was hoping for a little more, definitely, because it feels like it's been, PSVR 2 has been out for a few months now. There aren't that many big games on the horizon currently. And, most of these are pretty obvious. Arizona Sunshine 2, I guess, is cool if you're into that. Like, it is people like it, I think, for the co-op element. So I guess that's something. But Synapse, I'm kind of interested in. I think that's the same studio that did Fract, if I'm not mistaken.
Could be.
Which I played the demo of and I liked, but it actually made me it gave me some motion sickness, so I never picked up the full game on it.
When you say that, when they were first showing it looked like a full first person shooter before it got into the like subconscious world, I'm guessing is what that is. And I was like, this game is going to make me puke my guts out.
Yeah, it's possible that will be the case, but I'm
like
hoping on PSVR 2.
Blood and Money, where even if I would just strafe, even that you weren't constantly moving, and that was
yeah. I'm just hoping PSVR 2 things will be smoother, but I don't like it looks cool.
Okay, next up was hands down, out of anything that was no gameplay, just an announcement, the most excited I am about anything, and that is Marathon. I don't know if it's a remake or a reimagining of a Bungie game that came out a long time ago, a first-person shooter that was on Mac, I believe. I think it was their first game, maybe not though. And I mean, mostly it was the music. The music was absolutely amazing in this trailer. And visually, kind of the side scrolling, how they cut it together, I'm 100% in. I love Bungie. I'm not into Destiny, so I want to see them do something different. So I was really excited by this very short trailer and announcement.
It's funny. I was completely turned off by this trailer because it felt like it was just pure pandering to the super fans. And as a person who knows nothing about Marathon, I took away nothing from this at all. Other than that, like there's weird robots with paint streaks. I don't know what the paint streaks are. This is like blood, or this is like them making Marathon versus Splatoon. I don't know what's going on in this thing.
How could you not be loving the tunage though?
No, did not. I mean, it's like a sci-fi game, I know, but I don't know what. I don't know anything about Marathon. I thought it was some sort of like century ship type sci-fi game back in the day, but this did not look like that. So I have no idea what this is.
Just a new Bungie first-person shooter. That's enough for me.
Yeah, but I mean, is it going to be single player? We don't know anything about it.
100%. So I'm just reading some stuff here on the blog. So I liked the teaser. The teaser I thought was really cool. But now I am reading it is a sci-fi PvP extraction shooter.
Oh, God.
Oh, vindicated.
You win. You win. Another
That's what their
PvP
engine is built to do now. Their engine is built to do this type of game. They don't just like spin off single player games anymore.
All right. Well,
they want the money now. They want the monies.
Okay. Well,
and they're going to get it. They're going to get it.
I don't think they are. Followed up with some more Destiny 2 stuff, which I don't really care about. There's going to be a Destiny showcase at some point. I'm going to speed through getting up to Spider-Man here. Concord, I have no idea what this is.
Yeah. Can we talk about this for just a second? Like,
what is
why
this?
would you do this trailer? When I was watching it, I was like, okay, they're spending a lot of time focusing on like these tiny details on tables and stuff. I thought it was going to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing. And like, I'm supposed to know what these little knickknacks are. And then it's just some random game about like some spaceship going through hyperspeed or whatever that is. It made no sense to me.
The impression that
CPU is a big deal.
I don't know.
So it's a new FPS.
They just joined PlayStation Studios, so maybe that's why this got, a nice little focus. But the impression I got, it says PvP multiplayer first-person shooter. That's weird because I thought for sure this was like a No Man's Sky type game. So, yeah,
just an odd. I'm not even saying the game is good or bad. I have no idea. Just I didn't know what I was looking at.
Yeah,
no context at all.
I mean, it wasn't even like a cinematic trailer, really. It was just images of stuff. Like it was like a vibe trailer, I guess, more than anything.
We should probably take 5 minutes and just discuss the Gran Turismo trailer. Pretty big stuff there. Moving on. Finally, some new hardware. Project Q, a handheld PlayStation or PlayStation controller with a screen, so you can play your PlayStation 5 games via Wi-Fi. This is like one of the strangest things ever to me. I don't know what this is. Maybe they're going to sell it for like $100 or something like that. Like if that's the case, it might be interesting. But I don't think if it's like over $200, yikes.
Yeah, that did not seem like a good choice.
Like this was rumored for like a month ago or something. Stuff came out, and at the time, I think some people were like, "Oh, this is the new Vita," but it is not. And it's very strange because I believe they have an Android app that you can stream to PS4 or PS5 remote play
PC
already.
Apps for streaming and stuff. They're not good. They don't work all that well. So I don't know why this one is going to work well. We speculated with this announcement. Could they have some new tech that is going to help? But absolutely not. The only pitch I can see is, hey, you're gonna buy a PlayStation controller, maybe for an extra $60. Hey, you can get a screen on it and use it in other places. That's the only way this thing makes sense to me.
You know who it makes sense for? Dads whose TVs are monopolized by children and their wives, and they still want to play some PS5 games, and the only way they're going to get to do it is on this stupid little handheld thing.
Yeah, but you can get a TV or a monitor for $90. Like,
yeah, I guess the one thing that I guess is a selling point is it seems like it's a dual sense with a screen. Whereas, like, so if you're playing on the Android app with some kind of controller, you're not getting the dual sense feels. I don't know if there's a way that they're actually replicating that over Wi-Fi, but maybe.
Yeah, well, yikes is all I can really say. And the earbuds, kind of intrigued by official earbuds for VR, so I don't have to put the huge headphones on to get the 3D sound, but not really a needle mover in any way whatsoever. So finally, getting to the highlight of the show for most people, I would say, or the star of the show at the very least, Marvel Spider-Man 2, a about 10-minute gameplay demo, switching back between the two characters, showcasing, I guess, the black suit Spider-Man. Is that what's that? I don't even know what
the
that
symbiote,
because it's not Venom, right? It's like a precursor to Venom. I think
it's the same alien powers. Creature.
Yeah. So, and then it starts off with that character, then switches to Miles Morales. And I was kind of hearing like, oh, they've expanded it to Queens. They've made New York bigger, which initially made me vomit in my mouth. Like, that's what I liked about Spider-Man. It's smaller, but in the gameplay demo, once I see that kind of squirrel suit thing where you can really move quickly through cities, it makes a little more sense to me. I'm less concerned. And the other big shift to me from the previous entries in the series, it was getting a little monotonous, personally anyway, playing two of those games of dealing with enemies one-on-one. There were a few moves where you could put enemies together, but it was usually a horde of 10 enemies and just dealing with them individually. And it seems like there's been a focus to deal with multiple enemies at once, whether it was like the tentacles grabbing 4 and slamming them in the ground, and some like electric powers for Miles Morales that like sucked in 5 enemies and killed them all at once. Like maybe combat shifting to dealing with large groups of enemies in fun and impactful ways. That could be a good shift to me. But other than that, kind of looked like more of the same, which isn't bad, but isn't blowing my mind either.
Yeah, we talked last week about would it be co-op, and they have confirmed it is not. And I'm still not totally clear on if you only get to switch between the Spider-Man based on story stuff. I have to assume at some point, because it's still kind of an open world game, you can just switch between them whenever you want. But
I'm getting the sense story missions are designed to switch back and forth between characters, and I'm sure there will be other characters. That's kind of the new trend in AAA games, switching between who you're playing as, especially for sequels. And then when you're open world, I'm guessing you can switch back and forth at your leisure between those characters.
Yeah, like I don't know if it's going to be like Miles Morales is in Queens and Peter Parker's in Manhattan or something, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it was a very cinematic trailer, so kind of hard to tell. Well, I mean, it was gameplay, but it was like very quick time event sort of stuff for the most part.
Very choreographed.
Yeah, what are those showpiece kind of moments, like the chases and some of that stuff, which I've seen, I've played before. So whatever. I don't even find them that much fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like they're cool, but
that's it.
Yeah, and I get why you focus on those for an event like this, but I kind of wanted to see a little more of just open world gameplay stuff. So, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I thought
the previous two.
What was that? Sorry,
you played the previous two. Have you beaten both of the previous?
I've not beaten Miles Morales. I've done all all of the original and the DLC, but I did not do all of Miles Morales. I think I'm probably like 50% of the way through it or something like that. I thought it looked pretty good. I liked that they had like the nuances of, the whatever they call the black spider suit, where he sounds angrier because like the symbiote or whatever is on him and everything like that. Like just like little touches like that were kind of cool to see. The one thing we didn't touch on is that there was like a CG intro with Kraven the Hunter in it, who is like, a big Spider-Man enemy. So that was kind of, I don't know, a big fluff ball. But at least that was a character introduction for that. But I thought it looked really good. I like you guys were mentioning, the different gameplay mechanics that the black spider suit adds with the tentacles and everything. Gave me a little bit of like, almost like The Darkness. Do you remember that game, The Darkness, with like the tentacle things, like kind of that feel? But I think it'll be fun to switch between the two characters and go through this game. I'm excited for it. I wouldn't say I'm overly hyped and think it's going to be the greatest game ever, but I think it looks good. I think it'll be a fun Spider-Man game, just like the other ones have been. So I think they've got the core mechanics down, and they've got the combat pretty good, and they just need to tweak everything, and it looks like that's what they've done, and added little things here and there, like the suit you're talking about, the flying suit, the squirrel suit or whatever, and they've added some new enemies with like the robot dogs and birds and stuff. So I don't know if that, did they talk? Is that the Vulture character? Did they talk about that? I know they had the lizard or something, the lizard man. And
so I think it seems like Kraven the Hunter is the main villain. I think there's like a group of people that work for him, or like part of his, they're called like hunters or something like that. And I think they're trying to chase down Kurt Connors, who is the lizard. So I think the lizard is a good guy in this, but I don't really fully understand.
Yeah, so it seemed interesting. I wasn't really that disappointed when they said there wasn't co-op. I kind of like that. I like more story-driven games, so this is more up my alley, them not, wasting their time developing the co-op mode. I'm sure they did spend some time trying to get it to work, but I'm glad that if it didn't work, they didn't just force it in there anyways. So
I don't disagree. The only way co-op would work in this game is if like it's specifically curated missions where an AI can take control of one or optionally another one. But even then, we've talked about this many times, like groups of enemies and the AI of how to attack, that stuff gets broken very easily with co-op. So I'd rather they preserve the gameplay of the game and not go Gotham Knights.
And this game also relies heavily on a lot of slow-mo techniques when you're dodging stuff. And when you throw multiplayer into that, you can't do that anymore. So it really would hamper, I think, the overall gameplay experience for Spider-Man. So I'm glad they didn't force it in there.
Yep. All right. I think that's all the games. Am I missing anything, Sean? You look very angry. Is the fly back? All right, you sure?
Fly is dead, man. He's totally dead. No, I think that was it.
So should we give our letter? Whoa, okay. I knew.
I mean, this could come before.
I could see it in your fucking eyes, dude.
This could come before or after the letter grade, but the Microsoft thing, I think we got to mention, right?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Microsoft did a little troll on Twitter. They said, great looking group of games or something like that. And it was all the games in the showcase that are also coming to Xbox. And people were, they owned Sony. Oh my God. This is amazing. They really got him. And, I don't disagree. It's a kind of a funny idea, but Sony could do that with every Microsoft press conference. Literally every. So go back to everyone and see how that holds up. I can count Sony exclusives. I can't count Sony exclusives on two sets of hands and possibly my feet. I can count Microsoft exclusives on one hand, and good ones certainly on one hand. And franchise
one finger
with two fingers. So be careful before you start bragging about how good you are. I will give Microsoft, if they wanted to make Minecraft exclusive, it would be a bit of a game changer. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet. But either way, like just relax, make a good game, and then start talking shit on Twitter.
Especially when the two games that aren't coming to Xbox, Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2, are probably going to sell more by themselves than every other Xbox game this year. So,
how about Phantom Blade Zero? Did they say what was that on the?
It did say PS5 and PC, I think, but a game like that will probably go over eventually.
Yeah, I mean, it just at this point, it is weird with these showcases. Like why do certain games choose to announce with specific showcases? Like, does that indicate that there's some kind of partnership there, or like it's going to launch first there? Like, it's kind of unclear, but yeah, I think it's a fair thing to throw out there, but you're right. I think Sony will probably do something similar at the next Xbox showcase now.
The only thing interesting out of this group was Marathon's there. So Sony had acquired Bungie, and so that's interesting that's going to be in both places. And Alan Wake 2, in my head, I thought that Microsoft had bought Remedy, but I think it was just a rumor and it never happened. So that reminded me, oh yeah, they never actually got Remedy, which I don't think is bad that they didn't get Remedy. Either way, yeah, okay, we can do that. We can play this game every showcase for the record. So if you want to keep playing it, we'll play it. I can tell you who's going to win and who already won 3 years ago when I told you. So just let's settle down, Xbox. I thought you were the good guys. I thought you were the good guys of gaming. You didn't like to rub stuff in. Or gaming's for everyone. We're not looking to win. We're looking to provide games to everyone. And so
it's just a service. It's like a PSA. Hey, by the way, this is also coming
pretty out of character for them. And in that respect, kind of telling. Like, you're hurting, bud. You need to chill. Make a good game. We'll talk. And it's worth mentioning, Stellar Blade, Sony exclusive, and Naughty Dog did not show their multiplayer game, which a lot of people are talking about. Nothing new from Guerrilla, and a lot of notable studios and games that we've heard about before did not show up here. So Sony's got even more in the tank, and I think that's another reason why this is a little underwhelming overall. And the more I talk about it and found out details of some of the games that are already out, it's even less intriguing to me.
Sony should just put out another conference right away with just their exclusives, and then reply to the Xbox tweet with a link to that video. Just be like, your move, bud. They just have so much more. Like the Guerrilla, if you put a Guerrilla game in there with the Naughty Dog stuff and another Spider-Man 2 trailer, it's over. How could Microsoft respond to that?
Hellblade 2 trailer.
Hellblade 2, yeah.
Gonna destroy every game ever made. Anyway, we don't need to go there anymore. We know what's up. We all know what's up. So letter grades.
I can go first.
I'm between two letters and I am struggling.
I think I'm gonna go with a B-. I think that's where I'm gonna land. I thought there were some good things. It probably could have been more, but probably could have been worse too, actually. But Cat Quest saved the day, kept it at a B-. So that's where I'm landing.
I mean, I think I'm going to go B+. And I guess, yes, some of the trailers were just announcement trailers, but I think it was the list of games. There's more than usual that I was excited to play. So yeah.
See, I was coming in B-, and this discussion was pushing me to C+.
Oh,
C+ sounds a little too harsh. So I'm going to say B-. Just a little touch of minus on that.
Okay.
Extra minus. Okay, we're running late. Do we want to do what we played? All I have is Tears of the Kingdom, which I beat, so I might wait until some of you guys catch up. Sorry, I can't. I have to get it out. It's been bottled up inside of me. I need to get this out to the world. So I beat Tears of the Kingdom. I don't think this is really spoiler. Like the 4 equivalents of divine beasts in this game are amazing. Everything that's main quest from that point on, and there's quite a bit, to the final boss is very bad. And especially from Nintendo, the quest design is like so generic. I we'll get into details once you guys get there, but I was like surprised. This is all you could come up with, Nintendo? Like this is like any other game would be getting destroyed for these quests, as far as I'm concerned. And we'll get into it. But the final boss climax of the game, so good. That's why I think people play that and then they forget about what happened before it, because the final half an hour of the game is phenomenal. So good.
Cool. Yeah, I mean,
done with Tears of the Kingdom. For good. Probably.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I've put a lot of time into it. Still only finished one of the temples. I'm like close to beating the second temple. But yeah, we'll try and I'll try and finish it so we can talk about it for sure.
Excellent. So I'm not that far behind you, I guess. I'm just about to finish the first temple, the Wind Temple. So I have also not put as much time in, though. So I'm sure I'm actually quite far behind. And I don't know what's next on the list there, Frank. What's the next tackle?
Well, I really want to play Dead Space. That feels like the game that I've neglected all year. But I didn't realize the System Shock remake is coming out on Tuesday as well. And not hearing much about it. So it could be a real turd, but I'm a little curious to play that as well. So that's that release, Return to Grace, and Friday is Street Fighter 6. So a few big games this week. Anything else you guys are playing that you want to talk about?
No.
I did play a bit of Planet of Lana. Just I'll mention it because it is now out on Game Pass. I had played the demo previously on Steam, and I'm kind of just getting back past that for the most part. Although there was like a prologue that wasn't in the demo, and it's good. Like it's kind of a Limbo Inside-esque game. Visually, it looks quite nice. I guess I haven't. The puzzles are decent so far, and but it definitely feels very similar to those games. Even what was the other game that came out last year that was from one of the
people that left?
Yeah, I forget what it's called now, but just very similar. Like you're hiding behind stuff sometimes to avoid enemies and things like that. But I do like it.
Quite short, which is a selling point for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I don't think there's another showcase this week, but Summer Games Fest.
There is the Meta showcase, I think, on June 1st, I want to say. But yeah, then the week after is like all the other Summer Game Fest stuff.
So remember, if there's something strange in your neighborhood,
that game might just stealth drop on June 1st, because there was a rumor that was supposed to come out like end of May. So I don't know. Haven't heard anything.
This has been an amazing show.
I can't wait for the some new soundboard drops. Make it happen. All right. You can let us know what you thought about the Sony showcase on our Discord. Link is on youtube.com/GameJunk, where you can also watch the videos. Sean is Film Junk on Twitter. Andrew is Equilibrium Assists and My Angry Commute. And thanks for watching or listening. See you later. Bye-bye.